Okay, let's continue on here. The slope, we're now going to continue with slope, but we're now going to be doing it more algebraically, a little bit more mathy. So the slope is rise over run, which I've written a number of times already. And when we've done these rise over runs, we've tried to see, well, how did this change? Remember I said I usually start on the left. So I said, well, what is the change in the y? How much did we move? And then how much did we change in the x direction? How far left or right? So that is what you see here. That slope is how far we've changed in the y, and then divided by how much we've changed in the x. And that's what the sign here is. It's called delta. Delta y, delta x. You don't need to know that. Just recognize it. With the change in y or delta y, that's just how much did you rise and how much did you run. So I prefer, there's lots of different ways to word this, but I prefer rise over run. That's what, to me, that's the easiest to remember. Now, there is a way with algebra that we can calculate this. So we can go ya minus yb divided by xa minus xb. And that might look incredibly strange. You're like, well, what's ya and what's yb? Well, we're going to do that. So let's take a look immediately here with example 1. And you can already see that I've labeled it a and b. So it doesn't actually, these could be labeled anything, but that's our x and that's our y. But we'll call this xa and ya. I use lowercase. And then this is also an x and a y. But we're going to say xb and yb. So when we're finding our slope, we go yb minus ya. That's the formula. You just start by writing it out, xb minus xa, and then you can actually just plug these numbers in. So yb is 5 minus ya is 0, and then xb is 12 minus xa, which is 2. And so you can do a little bit of math here. 5 minus 0 is 5. And actually, maybe I'll try to work a little bit more vertically here. So 5 minus 0 is 5. 12 minus 2 is 10. And that can be simplified both by 5. You get 1 over 2. So your steepness, or your slope, or your change in y over your change in x, or your rise and your run, or the letter m, all the same thing here, is a half. So how does this all work? Well, we start by labeling it, and then we just plug those into the formulas. So this is our x and y. This is our x and y. And the first ones are going to be our a's, and the next ones are going to be our b's. And then we can plug it right into the formula. So yb is 15 minus ya is 1. xb is 12 minus xa is 5. So 15 minus 1 is going to be 14. And 12 minus 5 is going to be 7. Now 14 over 7 can reduce to 2. So we say the steepness or the slope is 2. Now I forgot there is a spot for us to write it right here, so we can rewrite it. M is equal to 2. In fact, in our other one here, it was also a half, so M is equal to a half. So I don't actually need to box those because there's a spot for the answer right there. Okay. So let's go on here to C. First, I'll start by doing x and y, x and y. The first one is our a's. The second is our b's. And now I'll just plug things in. So you have a 5 minus, so yb is 5 minus, what's ya? Ya is 2. And then xb is 10 minus xa is 4. So you've got 5 minus 2, which is 3, and 10 minus 4, which is 6. Well, all of these can end up being reduced. 1/2. So what's our slope? Our steepness is a half. Okay, let's continue on here. Well, I'll just zoom out in case you need to copy anything down here. And then we'll continue on with the next ones. So let's start by labeling x and y, x and y. Now this is a, and this one will be our b's. So yb is 1 minus YA is negative 2. So we have a minus minus here. XB is negative 5 minus XA is 4. Okay. So 1 minus minus 2 is the same thing as 1 plus 2. So that's going to be 3. And negative 5 minus 4. So the 5 is negative and the 4 is negative. So they're both negative, meaning that we're going to be all negative, and that's going to be 9. Now that can be reduced. They can both be divided by 3. So you get 1 and you get 9 divided by 3 is 3. Now the negative can go anywhere. Usually we like to just move it up top. So we would write negative 1/3. So keep in mind that it's not really tricky, but that does get a 1 plus 2. All right, let's keep going here. This is an X, this is a Y, this is an X, this is a Y. These will be A's. Even though this could be labeled anything, it could be a G, it could be an X. Well, it wouldn't be an X really, but it could be, I guess. We always just say the first ones are A's, the second ones are B's, regardless of what they're actually labeled as. Now, YB is 8, minus YA is a minus 2. So there's a double subtract there. XB is negative 6, minus XA is negative 4. Okay, so you can see here, obviously things are changing in terms of, I don't know, they're getting too much more complicated, but we're having double negatives and more negatives show up. Now, whenever you have two negatives beside each other, you're subtracting a negative, that's addition. Same with down here. That's going to be an addition. So 8 plus 2 is going to be 10. So this is, and then this 6 is negative, and the 4 is positive. So the 6 is going to win. There's more of those, and there's 2 more. So negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. Now 10 over 2 is 5, and there's one negative symbol, so the answer would be negative 5. So our steepness is negative 5. So I'll just let you see those two in case you need to copy anything. But we have one more to do. So X and Y, X and Y, that's our A, and these are our B's. So let's do our slope here. YB is a negative 13 minus YA is a 2. XB is a 5 minus XA is a minus 5. So negative 13 and negative 2, they're both negative there, which means we'll have a negative 15. And 5 plus 5, because the 2 beside each other, is a positive 10. Now those can both be divided by 5, so this would become a negative 3, and this will become a 2. So negative 3 over 2 is our slope. So this is all we've done in this whole chapter. We've been calculating slope algebraically. So that's what this last video has been about, which I'll just zoom in here. So these last 6 questions were all about slope algebraically, and then the page before that was us just calculating slope based on the drawings. Same with those. So you can do slope by looking at the drawing, or you can do slope by the algebra right here.